What is up, everybody? It is Ben back with vlog number 2. I made my first YouTube video yesterday, and now I'm on to the second, so onward and upward, right? Today's video I wanted to do basically on my business. So I wanted to talk about recruiting and staffing and why I got into it. Why are you a recruiter? Why do you do what you do? Why did you choose to do that? How did I even get into it? Well, it's a pretty simple story. So I used to work at a media company, an advertising company that sold advertising, and basically you would cold call all day. So you would pick up the phone, you would find a doctor's office, and you would say, hey, I'm so-and-so with so-and-so, and I want to sell you advertising right now, give me your credit card, blah, blah, blah. You'd make 75 to 80 dials every single day, talk to maybe 10 people, hopefully somebody buys from you, and hopefully you hit your quota, right? Pretty hard job. Definitely cuts your teeth with sales. So there was a lot of turnover, right? Nobody wants to stay at a job like that for too long. So ultimately, people leave. People that can't stand the heat, people that can't sell, people that don't know how to talk to people, they leave. So there's a high turnover rate at that job. I'm not going to name the company. But inevitably, they wanted to hire a lot more people because a lot more people were leaving. So what the recruitment team did, the internal recruitment team of this company did, is they created a spiff. If you don't know what a spiff is, it's basically an award. It's something that you get just as a prize for doing something. So in companies, they'll call it a spiff or maybe a little like a prize. So basically, they offered $500 spiffs for every time you referred a new employee, someone that got hired. And they'd have to stay 3 months until you get the money and all this whole thing. But basically, at the end of the day, you find someone that works there 3 months and you get $500 in your pocket. I thought, what a cool way to make some extra money. So I'm a people person. I like to talk to people. I was pretty decent at the job that I was doing. And so I said, okay, I'm going to be all about it. So I did a few things. And some people think I did a lot more than what I actually did, but it's not that complicated. And they know who they are. So what I did was, the first thing, I decided to create a Facebook group, a localized Facebook group where people can post jobs and recruiters can post jobs and job seekers can come see the jobs and connect with the local people and network and exchange resumes, emails, whatever, and ultimately get jobs in their local city here in Seattle. And so basically, I created a local job group, and I was the admin. I was the only person who could control the whole group. So what I did is made a monopoly on the group, meaning I was the only person recruiting for my company in this Facebook group. I added a shit ton of people to the group. I had friends add friends to the group, more friends add more friends, and basically I ended up with a group of thousands and thousands of people. So what I did is I leveraged the group to put postings up for my sales company saying, hey, we're hiring salespeople, you make X base, you make X commission, you get X vacation, blah, blah, blah. Resumes would start trickling into my inbox on Facebook. Then what I did is I actually started to talk to people and say, hey, cool, you want to work here? Great. I asked them a few questions, made sure they were a good fit, kind of vetted them. This is what recruiters do. And then I passed their resumes on to the recruiting team. The recruiting team would then go through and then, ask me a little bit about them. And I'd say, oh, I know them from such and such, or I met them this way or whatever. And a lot of them would start getting hired. So the process was working. I would make $1,000 here, $1,000 there the next month. It would pay out over time. It was an investment. So I kept doing this. I monopolized the group. Nobody from my company was allowed in this group to post for this sales company. And so nobody else could have access to this large pool of applicants. So basically, in a nutshell, that was my start to recruiting. But it goes further than that. What it taught me was that by creating the group and meeting people, just networking with them electronically on Facebook, I would actually be able to kind of coach them through the interview process. So what we do at the company that I used to work at, was you would have a phone interview with someone, maybe 20 minutes, and then after that, they would actually want to do a mock sales call with you, meaning someone would act like the business, and then you would have to sell them right on the phone on the spot. And if you did well there, you pretty much would get the job. I knew this process in and out because I had done it, tons of my friends had done it, and I've seen it done in the company over and over and over and over and over. So I knew exactly what to tell all the candidates to do when they interviewed. So they were all aces in the hole. I knew they were getting hired. Long story short, I basically hired about, I think, 40 people over the course of a year. I averaged like 3 or 4, almost 5 hires every single month because of how many resumes I was sending him. It was a huge volume game. I had one recruiter that I would just send all the resumes to. I'd say, here you go, you know what to do. And I would coach the applicant, and I would tell them, even on the phone, I would take time and get on the phone with them and say, hey, here's what you have to do. Let's do it together right now. Make sure you know how to do it and all that. And they would ultimately get hired. But the reason they got hired is because of the coaching and the way that I prepped them. So it taught me a huge lesson about recruiting. And it also taught me a huge lesson about networking and how you can just connect with someone and gain some value by just creating a scenario where you can actually be the broker, be the middleman. So it introduced me to recruiting. And ultimately, it's kind of created where I am right now. So that's my huge start in kind of recruiting. That was the first recruitment I've ever done. As far as that goes, the Facebook group I created, it's open to all recruiters now. I don't monopolize it for that company anymore because I've just grown it to 3,000 plus people now. It's called the Seattle Job Network. Anybody's welcome to join it now. But I recommend any recruiter locally or any job seeker to join it, locally that is, if you want to network with local people. But the end of this video, I want to explain basically why that story is unique and why it's valuable. Because recruiting at its core is very, very simple. You're basically being a broker, right? Imagine if you're selling something on Craigslist, one item, it has a value of $50. You find someone on Craigslist that wants to purchase the item. They come to your house, they take it, you get $50, they get the item. Imagine though that if that person had a need for 10 of those items and you had an unlimited supply of those items. And at the end of the day, when you transacted, you didn't actually lose the value of the $50. You still kept the item, but you just made profit instead of them taking it. i.e., you basically make money every time you just interact with somebody and connect them with someone else. That's what recruiting is. That's why I got into it. So the moral of the story is recruiting is super, super, super scalable. It's all about scalability. It's the more clients you can get, the more candidates you can get to know, the bigger clients you can get, the more job requirements you can find, how many people do you need, when do you need them by, that sort of thing. And ultimately, it's kind of just all about relationship building. So that's my start in recruiting. That's exactly how I got my teeth cut, as they say in the business, and it's pretty straightforward. So if you guys are salespeople, or if you're just a hustler, if you're an entrepreneur, and you want to kind of try out a niche, everybody's out there talking about setting up a digital marketing agency, right, or a digital advertising or Facebook ads agency. I haven't heard one person say anything about starting a digital staffing company, and that's what this is. I run a digital staffing company. I don't meet with people in person. I don't have handshake interviews. I do phone calls. I do emails. I do Skype calls. I collect checks. I don't need to deal with people in person. I do pretty much everything out of my condo. So when everyone's talking about Shopify or setting up a digital ad agency, think about something else. Consider that there's other opportunities. Nobody's talking about this right now. Nobody's out there. So I feel like it's important to kind of know your options as entrepreneurs and think about that. So that's my start in recruiting. That's why I'm in it. I love it. I don't think I'm going to stop doing it for a long, long, long time. And it's all about scale. All right. Have a great day, guys.